Okay, guys, super happy to be here. Welcome again to the Strong Forecast. We're back again. We've been out for a while, but yeah, I'm super excited to present you Richard Lovrich, a really good friend of mine, also Alpha-1 patient. And yeah, I would really like to hear more about
Yeah.
his story, how is his daily life as an alpha, and also get to show you guys and share with you what is it like and what are the challenges, some of the limitations, and what pushes Richard to thrive, wake up every morning, and feel the confidence to push himself, continue doing what he loves. And yeah, tell us a little bit about where you come from and when were you diagnosed and where are you living?
Do we have this much time? That's a lot of time. So I live in New York. I was born and lived and had a photo studio and production studio in Manhattan, in New York. And then some 30 years ago, I moved to the capital region of New York. To a Manhattanite, it's upstate. So I moved upstate. And there I found I commuted at first, but now I found a new life as a creative director in that region. I was the first art director of the largest newspaper, the first art director of the largest theater group, and now I'm independent again, which I enjoy. And
I guess it's a
you,
bit,
you asked me when I was diagnosed, though.
yeah.
That's for a person probably with any rare disease that's difficult to diagnose. Your diagnosis is day one. It's the beginning of the rest of your life. And because without your diagnosis, so no one should be happy to have a rare disease, a terrible disease, no one. But you should be extremely happy that you were diagnosed. You know, it should be a happy day.
Yeah,
And
for
for me, it was a very happy day because I had been very sick, and only with diagnosis do you have even the possibility of treatment, appropriate treatment, and a vision for your future. Even though it is, of course, there are certain aspects of it that are frightening, but in the whole context, they're always going to be there. Whether you were diagnosed or not, you will only have, let's say, I mean, I was told I only had 5 years maybe to live. So whether or not I was diagnosed, we'd still have the same 5 years. But with appropriate treatment, this is now, what, 16 years since I've been diagnosed, and I'm still here.
That's amazing. You've been through such a tough phase. Saying you're saying that it's not a happy thing to have a rare disease, but it's also important that you were diagnosed at
Oh, yeah.
that time and point because maybe it could have gotten worse and your awareness would not have been um, uh, on point with maybe specialists
Yeah.
and doctors that could help you out in that time. So, how was it for you to, from the moment you were diagnosed, let's say mentally, to continue doing your photography and your daily routines?
Well, obviously nothing changed much because, again, nothing changes but the diagnosis, right? So I'm a little bit unusual. Most people with alpha-1 antitrypsin deficiency have no symptoms until they become older. Could be 40 years old, could be 50, 60. For me, I had breathing problems even as a child. So they say asthma, but there's no, we say in America, is it the chicken or the egg, right? Which came first? And we really don't know. We don't know because but I could never breathe well. So for me, at least now as you get older, your lungs become less effective and they start to age. So it's two things happening at the same time. So it is difficult, but again, my diagnosis didn't change anything. What it changed was my attitude. So the day I was diagnosed, I got a speeding ticket in my convertible. And the policeman said, why were you driving so quickly? I said, because I'm happy. And he said, why are you happy? I said, I've just been diagnosed with a terrible disease. And he checked me to see if I was drunk, and I was not, but he thought I was crazy and gave me a ticket. But I was happy. Also, I said
So
I wanted to change the things in my life, a few things that I was not very good at. So public speaking, I changed. I started to speak in public. I wrote a book. I took on these new challenges. So having it's a memento mori thing. It's like death is always waiting for all of us, but to have it so clearly advertised brought me a new awareness, which I also appreciate.
wow, that's amazing, and I guess it's a day that mark you for the rest of your life, and will mark you for the rest of your life. And
Absolutely.
for those who don't know, alpha-1 antitrypsin deficiency is a rare disease that is alpha-1 is a protein that's produced in your body, and we all have this protein. And I was affected mostly through my liver. Richard was more affected through his respiratory system, so it could be either one. And this insufficiency of this protein um, can maybe make you less protected, and correct me if I'm wrong, can make you more weak in your daily life through your respiratory, and be more vulnerable to pollution, smoking, drinking, and the most of the chemicals that we're exposed to nowadays. No.
Well, no, you put it well. It's alpha-1 antitrypsin is the body's most important anti-inflammatory agent. So if you don't have it, then any attack, it could be a mosquito bite or a cold or a virus or anything that might challenge your body is not producing enough alpha-1, which is the nickname alpha-1. You're not producing enough alpha-1 to fix it. Actually, to be scientific, we actually produce quite a lot, but it's not formed correctly. So a protein looks like like a metal wire that's all pushed together. And when you have they call it a misfolding of the protein. So there's one little piece that sticks out. And because it sticks out, it sticks to other alpha-1. So alpha-1 should be flowing through your body freely, but instead it polymerizes. It becomes like a sheet. That can be stuck in the liver. So just because you have liver, of course, does not mean that you will not have the lung problem. Just because I have the lung problem, it has no bearing. My liver can also be destroyed. So you can have both, and you can be one on the way to the other. Well, as you know, you need to be careful for the future and avoid smoke, avoid pollution. And in Portugal, very important to avoid people who smoke, which is difficult here, I know. But because you are likely, your body is set up to have the lung problem.
Yeah, and I think it's important that we talk about this, and creating awareness not only for ourselves but also to other people, because we all have this protein, and we all have vulnerabilities, and have to take care of our lifestyle, our routines. And how going into this, how was it for you since you got diagnosed, in your routines, your therapy? What considerations did you have to take in your daily lifestyle?
Well, you mentioned therapy. So basically, alpha-1 antitrypsin, when it's doing the damage, then you have COPD and emphysema, right? But instead of getting it, I could get COPD just because of my body. I don't require any smoke. I don't require any pollution. My body eats my lungs. Now, you add smoke, you know what I mean? And you add environmental problems, then of course it accelerates it and makes it worse. So the only treatment that's truly effective against alpha-1 is to have the protein that I'm missing, the proper version of the protein. So from this, it's a plasma-derived medication. The only medication comes from human blood. In the future, maybe, there could be some substitute, but really, it's more likely that we will find a cure before people make artificial proteins. Proteins are extremely complex, and we do not yet have the technology to make a protein. Your body makes so many valuable and interesting things. It is often said that all the top scientists in the world, with all the money you could put into research, could not make one human cell. Right?
Exactly.
We're fantastically complex and fascinating, and it happens at such a small scale. But meanwhile, I say this: the protein, the research in genetics since I've been diagnosed, it's skyrocketed. And there's truly hope for an actual, it always sounds like lip service to say, oh, there's going to be a cure soon. That's crazy talk. Well, it's true. There may be a cure soon for Alpha-1. This will not affect me, of course, right? They'll prevent a child from becoming like me, which is terrific, right? Maybe early enough to affect you. But for me, it's too late. So for me, the only fix would be if they could replace and cure damaged lung tissue. Also, there'll be a cure for Alpha-1 before they figure out how to regrow lung tissue. Yeah, once lung tissue is damaged, it's not repairable, not by the body or by science. No.
So already before you were diagnosed with this rare disease, your body was already going through tough time, and you're losing lung tissue, and you were recommended to take this protein through blood in seizure, no?
Right. Yeah.
And
once a week.
Once a week you had to take this protein. And how was it? Did you feel any different? Did you feel that it was helping you?
There's no short-term, that's a good question. There's no short-term benefit, right? You don't feel like, I feel better, right? Yeah. Or even worse, you feel nothing, really. The benefit is over time. It's like how much, they look at your x-rays every year or every 6 months, and is there more lung damage? And when you take the protein, generally speaking, the progress of the lung damage is reduced greatly. So in the 16 years I've been sick, I haven't lost more lung volume.
Okay.
But now I'm older, so in some ways my lungs are less effective. In some ways, Aaron, I'm healthier than I was 16 years ago because I made some lifestyle changes. I always avoided smoke, but now I do more so. I avoid chemical smells. I avoid them more so than I did before. I wish I could. I'm not so good at motivating myself to exercise. This is my weakness. But when I exercise, that makes a big difference. Every single thing, and this is true of every chronic illness, not just Alpha-1. Everything you do that's good, it adds, right? It adds to your feeling better and also makes you more robust. Everything you do that's bad takes away. So I think the first advice I would give to anyone with a chronic disease is get rid of the things that you can get rid of. That's an easy sacrifice. So for me, one thing was like dairy. Dairy makes mucus in the body, makes mucus in the lungs. It's not good for anyone who has a problem like we have. So for me, that was pretty easy. My friends said you could never do it because I love cheese and I love brie and I love these certain, it was the easy, I stopped immediately.
So making slight changes in your daily routine since you wake up, the moment you make your first move, try to think about something that could be helpful long term.
That's right.
Because it's not from one day to the other that you're going to feel the difference of that slight change or adaptation that you made. No, I think it's that everyday process of taking yourself out of the comfort zone, or a little adaptation, slight change that is going to make your body feel better every day and recover from whatever exercise you're doing or work, I guess. And how was it to be an Alpha-1 advocate in that period in
That's a
time.
good point. Yeah.
Did you have any friends that had a Alpha-1 or that suffered from other respiratory disease that you could like kind of talk to and that would be there for you in kind of like as a not as a like to accommodate you like, oh, it's gonna be okay, but more like
Right.
like we're here for you, and
Right.
what could I support you with in this time, no?
There's a difference in having a rare disease, right? You know, if you're diagnosed with some disease X, and there are tens of millions of people, then you may not feel that you're so necessary, maybe, right, to the communication, to the advocacy, to the process, because there's so many people and so much money. But when you're diagnosed with a rare disease, I found my awareness was very keen to see that, like, if I don't take pictures at an event, there'll be no pictures. If I don't help with some communication, there will be no communication or less communication. If I don't welcome this newly diagnosed alpha and give them some advice, they may never get that advice. So maybe the cool part of having a genetic disorder is you become immediately part of some population that you didn't even know existed. So with Alpha-1, it's an international population of people whose mother and father both had the factor and got together. And then when they get together, the dice is rolled, right? So you can have nothing, or you could have the worst possible outcome, which is where I am. I'm a ZZ, which is the worst outcome.
I'm a ZZ too.
There you go.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, actually, going back to when we first met, getting to know another alpha and meeting someone that also kind of went through the same situation as I did. It was not comforting because we went through like a bad situation,
Yeah.
but it felt like I could assimilate to you, and I was lucky to have my mother that supported me, and we went to several doctors, hospitals. When I was only 2 to 3 months old, they diagnosed me with this rare disease, and managed to figure out what it was, and I had some problems, issues in my liver, and yeah, I mean, this being able to prevent throughout my whole life, it was kind of like a good thing that I was diagnosed so early.
Oh,
No, we were
absolutely.
talking about this today, and being preventative, bringing awareness to other people. So I was actually lucky to
Sure.
have this diagnosed at such an early stage. You know.
Well, your mother is such an important, she's a great role model for advocacy. You know, your situation turned her life around, turned her life to becoming an advocate, not just for you, but for people all over the world that have your problem. And my first contact was the Alpha-1 Foundation in America, right? And there's this foundation. It's not so many people, but it's very powerful. They do a pretty good job for having so few people. We have a lot of attitude, maybe. And I followed them around the country. Then I would be taking pictures at events. Then they hired me to take pictures at the event. They pay for my travel to come. So I've been to everywhere around America, from Florida to New York to Massachusetts to California and Texas and Chicago and the Carolinas. I've been to everywhere. And also to Croatia, to Dublin, Ireland, and very importantly to Lisbon, Portugal, because in 2017 I came here and I met Aaron Strong. I met you.
Yeah, I mean, thanks. Yeah, thanks to my mother, and
Yeah.
she brought me into this um, ambassadorship, being a young alpha, and that's kind of where we first met in the Alpha-1 Congress in Lisbon.
Yeah.
And it was really important for me to take that step forward, to open up, I think, as an alpha and be kind of freed up. I was, as a young child, I was kind of like not really sure. I didn't want to share so much
Right.
about this disease, and I was kind of scared of showing my weaknesses.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I was still pretty active, and I was managing to do a lot of exercise, which I'm really fortunate.
Yes, you are.
A lot of alphas have been through a bit more severe situations than I went through. So yeah, I think it was a really important time that year, meeting other alphas and sharing my story and their stories with me. It kind of helped me grow, not only as a person but also as a young alpha, and sharing this weakness, let's say,
Well, going back to 2017 again, you say, yeah, your mother was essential, right? And yet you were a kid. You were such a different Aaron than you are now, but you were a surfer, and we should talk about that because you were a surfer, well on your way to becoming a professional surfer, and you've surfed your whole life. And myself, I grew up in a surf community. I grew up in the Bronx in New York City, but my grandparents lived on an island where surf culture was, in the 1960s, it was supreme. It was a surf culture place. It was the birthplace of the Ron John Surf Shop, which many people know from traveling in America. And surf culture was the culture. There was no overriding ethnic group or something else. It was surfing. And I tried. I would skimboard, other things, but surfing always eluded me. I had my surfboard, but I thought I had problems with, I gave it different words, stamina or just strength. And then I would build up and I'd be stronger, much, much stronger. Still, I could not do it to the extent that I liked. But of course, that was before I was diagnosed. I had no idea why. And again, no matter how much food I ate or the best food, no matter how much exercise I did, it was not going to give me the lung capacity that I had lost.
Yeah.
And you were I met you and it was, we had to hang out, because you were the surfer I could never be. And I'm the alpha, lung affected alpha that you might become. So we had to hang out.
Yeah, I think, yeah, that time of my life was really special, and thanks to my mom, I discovered surfing as well, and she introduced me to a surf school where I started to get up on a board, and kind of from there I was hooked to surfing. It was my medicine.
Yeah.
I would sleep in a wetsuit, wake up, go to the beach, and come back at night and do it all over again. And I was kind of a little bit out of traditional sports. I grew up in the south of Spain, as you know, and then I moved to Portugal, where I kind of met you, and it was at my peak point of my career as a junior surfer as well, and had been traveling a lot. So yeah, I was really fortunate to share also my surfing experiences with you. 2017, after first meeting each other in the Congress, the year after, I was coming back from Hawaii, actually.
Yeah, I
And
remember.
we set up to film a few shots in New Jersey, your home break. And we visited Ron John, as you said, the famous surf brand. And I got to know a little bit of the culture in your surf town. Yeah, and your family kind of grew up there, as you were saying. And how do you think the ocean for you had a impact, or was it just like a place where you could chill out and forget about your issues? Because for me, it's always been like also a therapy, a medicine, but also a place where I could escape, you know, and kind of have a
Sure.
time for me. Was it like this for you?
My family, I'm only the first generation born in America. My parents were from Croatia, and my grandparents, and before them, and before them, and before them, from the 1400s, they lived on a small island in the Adriatic. So being by the water has always been part of our family culture. And although I lived in New York City in the summer, my grandparents lived, and they were brought up on an island, and they were now living on an island in New Jersey. So I think my body is the most comfortable, and my breathing is always the best when I'm near the salt air, always. And I could be near a lake, and it's pretty good, but salt air is the absolute best. Is it psychological? How much is psychological? I don't know. But it is the best, the most healthful thing for me is to be near the ocean.
And now, keeping to that point, like, you think it's important for people to be close to the ocean and having that possibility to breathe clean air, whether they have
Sure.
respiratory issues or not? Do you think it's important to?
You know, I've met mountain people, I've met desert people who say they feel the best when they're in the desert, or they feel the best when they're on a mountaintop. So I think we're built differently, and we enjoy different things. So for me, being warm and by the water is my great pleasure. I have friends that like to be cold and on a mountaintop, and that's where they feel the most healthy. So, you know, I
Yeah.
think you have to discover who it is that you are and what is best for you.
For sure, I think for me, being by the ocean has helped me a lot, and because has been kind of my escape and my therapy, you know. And actually, this trip to New Jersey was really important for me because it was also my first time connecting with an alpha and living
Right.
next to an alpha, waking up with someone that was going through such limitations, and waking up and being up being so upfront in my face, like, wow, like I really have to take care of my lifestyle. And coming back from Hawaii, where surfing had just kind of like hit me by like so many professionals, so many good surfers. I was like, wow, a lot of emotions going through my mind. And I think this kind of period in time where we first connected was really powerful. And
Yeah.
sharing those moments with you is, I think, really important for me. And yeah, this trip from New Jersey, I think we had a really good time. We managed to document some good content and sharing those good times, you know, together.
You know, I'm only remembering now, sitting here. One of the tapings we did was at a small museum, right? And there was the old gentleman there, the older gentleman. He was talking about, and he made a very interesting. To him, it was almost a new thought that Long Beach Island, where we were, they had a fishing culture, and as the fishing culture, because of overfishing, factory fishing in the ocean, it dwindled. It disappeared. And he said surfing was perfectly like synchronized to, so as the island lost its identity as a place for fishing, it became a place for surfing. My family were professional fishermen. My family we had a fishing business on the island and sold fish to Pennsylvania, New Jersey, New York, from our own fishing fleet of boats. And when that changed, it changed hands with surfing. So surfing was essential in that weird way. So you went to a place that was perhaps like Hawaii. You mentioned like Hawaii, Long Beach Island. Without surfing, wouldn't have had the same arc of development to where it is today. It's so
Yeah.
essential to Long Beach Island identity, like this area of Portugal. It's so obvious that surfing is such an important part of the identity. And the same is true of Long Beach Island in New Jersey. Even if someone doesn't surf, they buy a surf T-shirt,
Yeah, yeah,
right? You know, they buy
yeah.
a surf mug. They go watch surfing.
Yeah, as you were saying, the culture, the traditions, going from synchronizing with the fishing culture
Yeah.
and going into the surfing slowly. This kind of lifestyle, no, is really attractive to the common people that are visiting or they're living there as well. They're part of this movement, and I think this is kind of what also attracted me in learning more about the surf culture around the world. At the time, I was living already in Portugal and traveling many places, and the community, surf community here is really strong. But getting to know about the culture in Hawaii, in Long Beach, and connecting with alphas at the same time was kind of like a really cool moment where I was learning about my own career, also my own health,
Yeah.
and bringing all these factors together was crazy. So, yeah, I think we had a good time there in New Jersey, and we learned a lot as well with the old guy, the legend,
So cool.
in the
Well, you know,
museum.
your mother and I were talking about surf culture yesterday, and I pay a lot of attention to, you know, in America, it's American football. And American football, it requires a stadium, right? It requires equipment. It requires this almost corporate kind of organization to make the sport happen on a daily basis and a year. It's if you go to a store for, let's say, or go to a game, a football game, you go to a football game, what is the likelihood that that afternoon you're going to go play football? It's not a thing. You go and have a beer,
Yeah,
you know? Surfing is so different. And the same is true to a lesser extent with soccer. Soccer, I think, is a more free spirit than American football, but surfing is so free-spirited. And it's also so strange, right? Because you're in this, let's face it, I mean, the ocean it's beautiful. It is so beautiful, but so dangerous. You know, even just, it's an environment in which you are designed to die. You know, you go under the water and you die, right? So it's a strange place to find freedom. But maybe that's what makes it so beautiful, is that it has, again, it's a very Portuguese kind of concept, right? There's like a saudade kind of sensation about it, because it's, you need the ocean, but the ocean only wants to kill you. You know, there's a beautiful dichotomy. And what are you doing? You're flying across the top of this murderer ocean. It's beautiful. The symbolism, I think, is very beautiful. And people watch it, and surfers always make surfing look so easy, right? People look and think,
yeah.
oh, okay. Oh, football player, that's an athlete. But a surfer's just having fun. And of course, you know, nothing could be further from the truth. It takes tremendous athletic ability to be a professional surfer. But it's not a bragging kind of sport where you pretend to be stronger or pretend to be some kind of superhero. It's a more chill kind of atmosphere. And again, I think this is why many people are attracted to the sport of surfing and maybe trying it themselves, is because it's beautifully independent. And it's not a team, and it's not some guy with a headset saying, Aaron, make a left, cut right, cut left. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's you, just you and the ocean.
Yeah, I feel like you become a waterman,
Yeah.
so connected to the ocean. You have to be really in sync, in tune, and aware of so many factors. It's constantly changing.
Yeah.
And I think I kind of brought this into my lifestyle, and being aware of certain factors in certain moments that were key. No, and I think it's brought so much into my life, and hopefully one day I can take you surfing and share this experience with you.
Yes,
Another alpha.
maybe someplace warm. The last time that I surfed was in Costa Rica on a very warm beach, very placid, small waves, and that's it. You know, that I can perhaps look forward to. But cold water is bad. You know, temperature is difficult for me. Anything cold is not good because my body, you know, I'm missing a great deal of lung tissue. So even if I'm breathing cold air, instead of being warmed by healthy lungs, there's a big area in my lungs where there's no lung tissue. So it's just cold air trapped inside. So cold is not my friend. But if I'm in a warm place, I feel that's my superpower is to be warm. And
Yeah.
being in the ocean, when it's warm is great, but when it's cold, it's my whatever chance I have at stamina or being able to do anything is diminished greatly.
Yeah, I think some some factors like this can be a bit dangerous, and we have to take that into consideration as well, because we want to keep you safe,
Well, also it's
and we know we respect the ocean.
well, swimming is also very difficult for me now because my breathing, once I use up, you know, you can only when you can only produce so much oxygen, right, in a period of time. And unless you're an athlete, you're not going to hit these limits so much, right? When you're normal human life. But with reduced lung function, just walking up a flight of stairs, I can reach my limit of my ability to catch up with oxygen production. So it's you have to be careful. You know, today if here in Portugal, we have a lot of hills here. So I have to use my best. I know for many of the people seeing this tape, they probably saw the movie The Martian, right? And so when you're on another planet, you have to think, I'm going outside. What do I need to bring with me to survive? What is the temperature going to be like, right? What's the terrain like? And this is my life. My life is like I'm on an unfriendly planet. You know, how is the temperature? What is the air quality? What is the elevation? Right? Am I in a mountainous area and there's less oxygen? Are there any hills where I'm going? I'm going down. How will I get back up later? So my life, I have to be more careful, more scientific, if you will, about my daily process. But it sounds like it's not fun, but I try to make it fun, as much fun as possible.
Yeah, I mean that's a really really important fact you brought up. And what makes you thrive and wake up with such, I mean, you have such an amazing energy, like not only for people that have rare diseases and rare conditions. What would you like be able to share and to have this kind of energy and thrive? I mean, everyone is different, but we can kind of feed off each other's energy. And you have people or certain acts that make you feel and make you have more energy.
Well, my work, I love my work, right? Which is, I've always been a creative person. Maybe being sick so much helped me to become more of a creative person because I didn't have the option to play sports. I didn't have the option to be outdoors so much. So for me, it was just me and a piece of paper or me and a camera or a paintbrush. That's one thing. And the other thing, it almost sounds, counterintuitive, like abnormal, but if you can't, whatever it is, finish the sentence. If you can't, then the next best thing to do is to help someone else. It seems like you don't have enough energy and life, even for your own life. But whatever you have, if you are helping someone else, it's like it makes it better. It makes it more tolerable for some reason. I may not
Wow.
understand the full function, and also, again, it's the rare disease thing. To know that you're giving advice or support or marketing, like I might do for this condition, if this is going to make one more person be diagnosed earlier, feel more positive about their situation, decide, say yes to taking the right medication, say no to the things they shouldn't be doing, to giving up smoking or giving up, living in a polluted area, let's say. Everything, at least it's something, right? It's better than the worst thing for an alpha, I think, for anyone with a chronic disease is to stay at home alone, cut off from the world.
Yeah.
There's nothing worse. But if you're
So you would say like those small exchanges of how could this person help and in what way, even if it's the smallest gesture or
that's right.
the smallest oh, could I get you something from the store today that you need
That's right.
and that you can access because you're not uh, able to. And I guess that act will come back to you as well, will be returned in some way and somehow, because you're exposing that other person to maybe think like that as well, no, to share and
Right.
and give that gesture, because many people just thinking about themselves and how they gonna make their day better, and not so much like, oh, how could I change someone's life today.
We're programmed as a people, as human beings, right, to see someone, let's say, wearing oxygen and thinking that person has less of a life, less power, right? You see this, it's a handicap, right? So this person has no more power. But you and I know better. And I think of someone like Jennifer from Mexico. And she has no body constitution. She's very thin. She needs 2 machines of oxygen simultaneously to breathe. And she's one of the most powerful people I've ever met in my life, and the most effective messaging and marketing and awareness and energy. Now, she barely has energy to breathe, and yet she can instill hope and energy into complete strangers. So is that magic? Maybe. Maybe there's some magic there. But certainly being a sick person does not mean that your life is over. Being a sick person doesn't mean that you are no longer capable of making a contribution.
Yeah, that's very powerful. And also, and we have other advocates like Karen Scalvo.
Yeah.
She challenged herself to
You bet.
push a train,
Yeah. Pull an airplane.
for an airplane,
Yeah.
and setting kind of like the limits of
Yeah.
What was it capable, how capable she was as an alpha, no, and
Yeah.
setting the limits and inspiring mostly other
You bet.
people, no, with whatever circumstance you're going through. And I think we need to carry on these powerful projects together. And
Absolutely.
I think we've been doing that. Last few days have been good in the, was it the 30th anniversary?
Yeah, 30th anniversary of the foundation.
We were at the 30th
Yeah.
Alpha-1 Congress in
Yeah,
Lisbon again.
every 2 years, right? So there
Yeah.
was Lisbon, then there was Dubrovnik, Croatia, and then there was a pandemic. So, it was difficult to find. There was a small meeting later in the pandemic, and that was in New York City, was the centerpiece. But the global conference had to take a break. There was no way to make it happen. Even Croatia the attendance was very small.
Yeah, and
for that.
we saw in this Congress that more scientists are studying Alpha-1.
Yeah.
More companies trying to find new therapies and working together with patients. And I think this is the importance of the Congress, no, of getting together,
Absolutely.
sharing our stories, which we should continue doing, and coming together as a community to also spread the awareness. No, how are your feelings from this Congress this year?
In a sense, in a good way, in a very good way, all of these meetings, from a small meeting in a town or a small group meeting just in some small village or neighborhood anywhere in the world, to the global conference, is very much the same benefit structure, right? In that I walk, like what happens with you, you walk into a room and you look around and you see someone and they have this, the first time look. You know that they are there for the first time. They've just been diagnosed, perhaps, or just discovered the community, or just discovered the disorder. And so your first job is what? To go, to introduce yourself, and to make them feel comfortable, to make them feel welcome. And then the questions come, right? How do you do with this? How are the infusions? Does it hurt? Does it make you sick? You know, how do you schedule it? Is it available in your country? Of course, the sad part maybe of the global conference is you meet people who live in countries where the medication's not available at all.
Yeah.
And this is a terrible thing.
Yeah, and also even just traveling with the oxygen, because some people didn't make it to the Congress
Right.
because they weren't allowed to travel with this kind of equipment, which
That's completely new, by the way, and I need to find out the details. The procedure before this was the airlines saying you cannot get on an airplane unless you have X amount of batteries with a certain amount of time so you can survive. Now there seems to be some change in the other direction where they don't want you to bring a certain amount of batteries. And for someone like our friend Jennifer from Mexico, she cannot make it from Mexico to Portugal without a lot of lithium batteries. So I need to research. This is completely new to me, just a few days ago. So I need to research this now and find out what the truth is, what the truth means, like which country is applying these new rules. Is it the airline industry? Is it different nations? It's completely new. And from
that could be our next
well, here we have
powerful
two
project.
Two guys. We're talking about oxygen. We're talking about proteins. We're talking about genetic research. Neither one of us went to school for this, right? But you realize you have to become an expert in these strange things.
I mean, I think these few days kind of brought so much into my life and becoming more knowledgeable in these areas that we just talked about. I think it's so special to have these moments where you're sharing this information and or questions. People have new questions, or how are they getting together? In which way can we get together to be stronger together?
Right.
You know, because we are stronger together. And we also set up a premiere of Breathe Mom.
This is true. This is true.
The latest documentary that we both participated in.
That's
We
right.
traveled to New York, Portugal, Barcelona as well. I did an event, and this documentary was actually a really powerful project. It was directed by Mary and Joan.
That's right.
This the couple from Barcelona that also had a Alpha-1 daughter.
Yeah.
And she was luckily also diagnosed early, but exposed to a lot of pollution in her main city, which was Barcelona at the time. And the city was going through a lot of protesting at the time, no? And they pulled through this project, which was pretty hard for them at the beginning, and
Sure.
they managed to get funding for Breathe Mom, which is the name of the documentary, which is really special as well. I think
Very
it
special.
connects also with all mothers around the world. And how was it for you to participate in this project?
Well, I was approached I think that they found your mother naturally because of her advocacy and her foundation. They found her, and through that process, I, people said, "Well, you should speak to this guy," in the United States. So we had one Zoom, and I, I'd have to ask Mehdi, but I believe I became central to the project and important to the project because where I was when I was a child, I lived in the Bronx in New York, and the air quality was also very poor. So this is like a bridging of a gap, right? Their daughter was born into this environment now. I was born into that environment in the 1950s. So they saw in me this bridge, to a person with a developed disease, but also a person who suffered and whose disease was obviously made worse because they lived in a polluted environment. Now, the perspective to say breathing problem, let's talk about the air, seems like the most natural thing in the world, and yet it's very uncommon. You could go to 100 meetings about my disorder, and no one will mention the air. It sounds crazy, unless you can buy it. Like, you can buy a bottle of air, you can buy a machine that makes oxygen, but to just talk about the air, the quality of the air, it is very rare. So that's why I deeply appreciate their contribution, because when you see the movie, it makes you think, well, of course. You're talking about asthma, you're talking about Alpha-1, of course you should talk about the pollution and the air, but it is not common, and it should be more common, and without question, anyone who sees the movie will make that connection, and it's important. So but the movie's will be available one day, English so far, Spanish, and Catalan, right?
Yeah.
I believe. Portuguese, yes or no?
Yeah, I think they're gonna put out these 3 languages, mainly throughout the movie. They're speaking in English,
Right.
Spanish, and Catalan, and I think that's pretty big already, and yeah, it's crazy that such a simple thing, having good air quality,
Right.
can impact so many people around the world, and being aware of this, I think as we're getting along in our life, we don't really pay attention to these small things, and we need to get together to better our air quality and make these slight changes that can make a difference in our daily life, from also overfishing, overconsumption, and this need of stimulation, getting to use the car in maybe in a group instead of using the car by yourself, to get more I guess knowledgeable about more ways that we can be sustainable together, and hopefully the future brings us this, and there's many more projects that promote this lifestyle, and I guess the next generation is the one that's going to be most affected by the changes we make.
Well, that's always been true, correct? Right? Each generation pays the environmental price from the generations before. And when do you make the change? It's always difficult. In America now, we know we're going to be set back 10 years, maybe more. We're certainly not going to be the leader when it comes to environmental protection. So someone else has to take over. And America has never been a good candidate, and now it's impossible. So we have to look to the rest of the world. Now, that doesn't mean that certain individuals in America won't make a difference and won't do great work. But as a nation, certainly, we're not going to be supporting, financing, or even rebroadcasting, the news that's important about the environment. It's just going to be stopped. So as an American, I'm not happy about that. Sometimes I wish I was healthy enough to move. But I have more handicapped relatives that I take care of, even at my age. So my mobility is not, I can't just get up and go, unfortunately. I have to stay where I am. But I'll do what I can from where I live, at least.
Yeah, I mean, I think this project was kind of our first step into that direction, no?
Yeah.
And just being part of it is kind of putting us in the movement, and other people as well should come along in this movement of promoting good air quality
Yeah.
and making slight changes that could help in that direction, no? And how was do you think you're gonna be part of continue wanting to be part of this movement
Oh, absolutely.
from wherever you are? I mean,
Sure, wherever I am. This winter was very difficult for me, health-wise. I had a lot of challenges with my breathing, and it caused I became weaker and weaker. And with someone with my disorder, it's difficult to know, is it progressing much more quickly now? Am I going to need a lung transplant? Am I going to die before I get a lung transplant? So my whole winter was filled with these thoughts.
Wow.
And, it's a little harder to pay attention to the cause when you're trying to just make it through, every day,
Every day.
one day at a time. But still, the bigger mission helps me to survive. So yeah, until I stop breathing, I'll spend a lot of breath on trying to get the message out.
Wow, I really admire you for sharing this with us today, and yeah, thank you for jumping on and in the podcast and coming to Portugal. I mean, it's a long travel for you, from the big city to the coast, the west coast next to the Atlantic, and yeah, really inspiring, Richard. Everything you do every day as an alpha, I really appreciate it, and yeah, would you like to share anything?
Just a reflection of I'd like to thank you and your mother and the good work that you're doing, and you inspire me. So isn't that's the essence, right? That's the key of inspiration, is to inspire one another. I'm glad you're here. You're my family here in Portugal, and it's nice to have an extra home like this.
Yeah, this is definitely your second home, and you thinking now, talking about pollution and air quality, obviously here in the coastline, you're next to the ocean. Would it be like taken into consideration in also in your family to move somewhere where the air quality is better?
Yeah, if I had the flexibility, that's what I would live closer to the ocean. But again, we're somewhat trapped in taking care of some people who are very sick, who live in an institution, and they're my responsibility. So I might die before them. So, it's going to be difficult. But I should focus on spending more time at least near the ocean. And I haven't in the past. I get distracted. I like to work too much.
Yeah.
So yeah, it should be a goal for me to spend as much time. Well, maybe next year I'll bring my wife and we'll come back to Portugal and I'll visit you here in the summer.
Of course.
Yeah.
You're more than welcome, and the ocean is always waiting for you. I know it has a lot of ups and downs. It can be your friend, it can be your enemy, but it will bring you beautiful things as well. I brought surfers, coaches into my podcast, and now an alpha for the first time in my podcast,
cool.
which is really special for me.
I'm very proud.
And we've gone through a lot,
Yeah.
and we've also inspired a lot of people, I feel like, and yeah, this is just the beginning. So yeah, thank you so much.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, guys. Hope you enjoyed that. And yeah, we'll be tuning in for the next podcast. And yeah, hopefully it inspired you to push yourself and wake up every day to make a difference in your life and also someone else's life. Thank you. Perfect.